For those of you who have not seen her first video, this is Cheryl. She has been participating in my wellness and nutrition course for the past 90 days, and we are going to catch up with her to see how her family and herself are adjusting.
So I am a severe special education teacher, and I've been doing that for 24 years. I am married for almost 20 years, and my husband and I have 4 children ages 8 through 15. And, just I'd say it's typical family life, lots of running around and lots of opinions because there's lots of people that live in the home. And we started this program because my husband actually wanted to do it. He had a coworker that had had a health scare, and he was relatively young, and it was due to dietary, just poor choices with his diet. And it kind of got my husband thinking he needed to make some changes himself. And so when he approached me about it, I was kind of shocked because this has always been an ideal for me, but it's been very difficult to implement because there hasn't always been a support at home, and I didn't have the skills to do it either. All I knew how to do was to cut things out. I didn't know how to add the right things in. So that's kind of where I was at when I started.
Okay, so what did your typical diet consist of prior to starting the program?
Well, I like to think that I ate healthy for the most part. I like vegetables. I love grains like breads and pastas and things like that. I would try to get my proteins in with dairy products because I've never really liked meat that much. So Greek yogurt and cheese, I eat a lot of that stuff. And then I kind of have a good sweet tooth. I do love the treats. I would always try to abstain from them, but I was always eating treats anyway. They're pretty good.
Yes, Cheryl did have plenty of candy, and she actually does feel the need to incorporate some meat every once in a while. I believe about once a month. You feel better if you eat a little bit. And yeah. Cereal was her big Achilles heel. So we're really proud of her for getting over that one. So what was your primary motivation behind making the plant-based transition, and what results were you hoping to achieve?
Primary reason was, once again, it was my husband's idea. This is something I've dabbled with in the past, but I didn't have the skills to do it and or the support. So I was really excited when my husband approached me that he wanted to try it. Of course, I did want to lose some weight. I don't feel like, actually, I know I have a healthy BMI, but it's like right on the bubble, and I know I can do better. And so weight loss was a motivator. And then I just want healthy eating to feel natural, like taking a shower or making your bed is just something you do without thinking about it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so some other things she had reportedly been suffering with were things like irritability and anxiousness, particularly around her cycle. So this is a very common situation for people who are on some kind of standard American style of eating. But she also was suffering from things like acne and those painful periods, as well as some headaches and fatigue. She did have some restless leg problems, as well as asthma. So we will discuss where you're at with those in a moment, but do you mind telling us what a typical day's worth of eating looks like now?
Yeah, sure. One thing that I really like, now I didn't start this right at the beginning, but I have started the time-restricted eating. So throughout the course of this program, I went from being used to stay with sugary breakfast to starting the day with a savory breakfast, and now I don't even like to eat first thing in the morning. I just want to eat a lunch-type food around 11, and at that point I'll usually eat about half my plate vegetables, half of it like beans and rice, something like that. Sometimes it's a big salad. And then I've noticed that I'm pretty hungry when I get off of work. So I'll usually eat another big meal around 4 o'clock. And also that's kind of similar to what I eat in the morning, like earlier in the day, where it's beans, rice, and vegetables type things, or some potatoes. And then in the evening when my family eats together, a lot of times I'm not that hungry. And so that one may not even have any sort of grain added at all. And then throughout the day, I snack on carrots and peppers. I really like to eat those. I love fruit. It is so delicious. And occasionally I am not perfectly on plan. I know on the whole food plant-based diet, generally you avoid like breads, but I eat whole wheat bread occasionally just because it's good and it's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, convenience is such a big deal when it comes to eating healthy, and we as working mamas, especially one of 4 children as opposed to just one with myself, that's pretty amazing. So you're clearly enjoying these meals. You're feeling satisfied even with the time-restricted eating schedule?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me that during that 8 hours, you do need to be eating, but I really like that I'm not thinking about food the other 16 hours of the day, and I'm really not that hungry. As far as the foods go and enjoying them, I do feel that, everyone kind of has their lapses when they'll make a poor food choice. And a lot of times people forget about that because they're going to gain a pound or something, if they're putting on extra water. But I think to me, the biggest stressor about having a lapse is you're not giving your taste buds a chance to change. Because I think at first when you start eating this way, the food to me didn't seem that good. It was hard to adjust to, but when I stay eating clean, I like that food. And so I am liking the food. I feel like I still have a little bit more work to go as far as really hitting a stride on liking everything I make. Sometimes I'll try a new recipe and I just don't like it, but I have found some things that I really do enjoy that I can eat a few days in a row and not have a problem with it.
Sure, and I feel like that's with any diet. If you're trying any new recipe, it's always like a hit or miss, or you tend to feel like you're missing out because you're not eating what you really, really wanted, but you really should be trying new things as much as possible, and Cheryl has been great about that. So, what noticeable changes have you experienced in your health thus far?
Okay, so initially my goals were pretty much weight loss and appearance driven, but I think some of the biggest things that have been so meaningful, but noticed a couple of weeks after I started eating the whole food plant-based, was I was such a better thinker. I'd be at work trying to solve problems and it was easy to solve them. I couldn't believe how much better my brain worked. And the other thing I noticed was just I had steady energy. A lot of days I'd want to come home and just crash out for 30 minutes after work, but I don't feel the need to do that most days anymore. My energy feels really steady and I love that. The restless legs are not a problem at all.
Good. Oh, that's amazing, Cheryl. Those are wonderful benefits. So she also, throughout our time working together, her palate has changed dramatically, as she'd already alluded to.
I was just say one other benefit. I don't know, I don't want to say how scientifically based this is, but I have been around so much sickness. I teach in a school.
There have been COVID cases all around me. I am vaccinated, but I've been shocked that I have not gotten super sick throughout all of this because of all the sickness that's been around. And I do feel that my immune system is functioning pretty well because of all of the healthy food I've been eating.
I've also noticed that my hair and my nails are better. Like they're really shiny and healthy looking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I used to have these really weird, like curved fingernails, like at the peak of my celiac illness. And now they're like nice and straight and strong and they're not brittle anymore. I totally agree. And as far as the health aspect of you not having your sickness as much and you not getting as many illnesses as you otherwise normally had, there's a lot of science behind that when it comes to eating plant-based and not picking up on not so much the frequency of coming down with some kind of illness, but it's more so the duration and the severity. People tend to have a lessened duration and a less dramatic severity when it comes to the symptoms that you experience. So what major challenges have you taken on thus far during this transition?
Oh my goodness. Well, to be completely honest, this transition is hard. It's really hard. Some of the big things, of course, are, I really believe that we are addicted to a lot of the foods we normally eat, like the sugars and the salts are pretty addicting. And you're just used to having those things. And then all the social cues that are around you, just celebrations and, certain times of days, you have certain rituals. Those are hard to get over. But I think another challenge is replacing the foods that you used to eat with something else that you like. I really liken it to moving to another country where there's a whole bunch of ingredients that you're not used to, you don't know how to prepare or combine together. And so I would say the first 6 or 7 weeks were really challenging. I had to, when I make my schedule for the week, I had to schedule in quite a bit of extra time to think about what I was going to make, going to the store, preparing the food. It was a lot of work. It was like before we started this program, I talked to my husband and said, hey, I'm going to need a few more hours a week, every week to do this. This isn't something I can just squeeze in. I need to take something out of my life to put this in. Now, it's not like that anymore, but it was like that at first. And and of course there's ups and downs. Sometimes you're really excited when you try a new dish and it's good, and then other times it was really frustrating when it wasn't.
Yeah, it feels like such a waste of money, but it's really not, because cooking is all about trial and error. Even if you weren't eating whole food plant-based, it's always helpful to be expanding your repertoire and incorporating different nutrients into your diet. So you just have to take some chances. At any time you're learning something, you're going to have some setbacks and some failures, and you're going to learn from it and move forward. That's exactly what this process is like, and you just have to give yourself some grace and anticipate those setbacks. Okay, so I love that you brought up the fact that you were replacing items with new items, as opposed to feeling like you were removing things and just, having that mindset. Because so many people feel that, oh, I can't have this and I can't have that, and they start to feel really deprived and then just give up completely. But if you look at this as an adjustment, because that's really all you're doing, is you're replacing certain foods with other foods, because there are so many other options out there. You don't have to think of it as, oh, this is off my list of things that I can eat. This is off my list. When I go out to eat, I can only have this, this, and this. No, it's not like that at all. There is an abundance of edible plant foods out there, and you can't possibly eat all of them in one lifetime, I assure you. Did you want to add to that at all, or anything else that you were having challenges with?
Well, I think that, they talked about people going whole food plant-based and all of the, like I said, all the restrictions, all the things you can't eat. But the thing is that we really don't eat that much of a variety anyways, even if we're not doing that. I mean, our meals usually have chicken or beef in them. Like, how hard is it to switch that chicken out for a potato or a cup of beans? When you think about it that way, it's really not that big of a deal. But I think that, I know that in the past when I've tried to do this lifestyle, all I did was take things out. Okay, I'm not eating meat, I'm not eating dairy. And then I didn't teach myself to make anything new. And so I got very limited on what I could eat because I wasn't trying to push things in.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Was it a challenge getting your kids on board?
Oh, yeah. Still it. It's interesting. In my job, I teach severe special education, and one of the things we focus on is helping people make choices, because a lot of times, you want to be able to control in your life the things you can control. And as my children have gotten older, they definitely want an input on what they eat. When they're a child, like 2 years old, they eat what you put on their high chair. But now they have a lot of choices. And as a parent, it's very, very hard. I'm sure anyone out here that's a mother or a parent can relate to this. You have this like tug within you, because on one hand, you want to give your children good nutrition. But on the other hand, you know that you're like the weird, mean parent if you don't have all the junk in your house. That's almost like it's crazy. It's a little backwards, but you almost feel like you're neglecting your children if you don't keep cookies and crackers in your house. How deprived are your children because they don't have access to those things? And that's such a crazy way to look at it. I mean, your children will grow up, they can go buy, like there's a soda machine down the street from my house. My children are welcome to go purchase a soda with their allowance money, but I'm not going to buy them a soda. And I'm not going to drive them to the soda machine either. They can walk or ride their bike and get a little bit of exercise, but getting the children on board is difficult. But I had to realize that I was part of the problem of their bad eating, because I'm the nutritional gatekeeper at my home. Whatever I buy is what they eat, and I can't be buying stuff that's bad for them and then expect them not to eat it. I had to, and it was kind of painful at first, because you don't want your kids to be, they are a little hungry at first because they're picky and they don't want to eat the healthy food at their house, but you can transition them slowly. And I've been surprised at the moments where my children have actually turned down food that isn't good for them because they knew it wasn't when someone else offered it to them. They've gotten used to eating, they've gotten used to eating whole wheat bread as a snack. They've gotten used to eating, they still eat cereal, but instead of Lucky Charms, it's plain Cheerios. They eat a lot of fruit. And they've gotten to where they'll eat a lot of the foods I prepare for them, like the potatoes and the vegetables. And sometimes I do purchase some meat, like very simple meat, not with like a lot of preservatives and stuff in it. But, once in a while I'll have some meat on hand for them to eat. But I really have been surprised that they've tried new foods and they're starting to like new things. And I just see a progression going in the right way. And it's also helped to sit down with them and ask them, hey, I'm going grocery shopping. What are you interested in me making? And I'll show them like the Forks Over Knives recipe page and see if something on there looks good to them, so that they have a little bit of input on what we're having.
Oh, that's wonderful, Cheryl. You brought up so many fantastic points, especially the one about how our society is so backwards about feeding your kid healthy, and you're the mean parent for not having the junk in the house. Thank you so much for that. I feel like a lot of parents struggle with that aspect. So some wonderful things that Cheryl has been able to include into her kids' diet versus the normal standard American diet style of foods that they were eating are things like Buddha bowls for breakfast, as well as zucchini apple oatmeal with broccoli, chocolate peanut butter apple oatmeal with cut veggies. That's incredible. I'm so proud of how far you guys have come. This is amazing. If you guys are interested in these meal plans, I'll actually leave them. Cheryl has given me permission to share these with my viewers because they are adorable, and she did a really, really phenomenal job. So there's one more thing that I wanted to bring up about the challenges that Cheryl was facing during this transition. So we mentioned earlier that her taste buds were adapting tremendously, but there was one thing that she could not wrap her taste buds around, and that was her salad. After taking away the cheese and the meat products and the eggs and the like the fatty dressings, the salty, fatty, sugary dressings, she was not a fan. She was not liking her vinegar or any other things that she would try to adapt herself to. We had to work through a number of different things to find her something that she really enjoyed. So where are you at now with your salads?
Oh, I'm doing a ton better with that. So yes, seriously, normal salad dressing is so good. So Karli recommended I try vinegar, and I tried the balsamic a couple times, didn't really like it. And then we kind of figured out that hummus could be good. And, you know, hummus, you have to make sure you're getting a good kind that's not filled with oils, but you can make your own hummus and it's not hard. And especially if you're using it for a salad dressing, you don't want it really thick. And so you can kind of dilute it down to make a really nice salad dressing. Or another thing is just, there are so many different types of vinegars. I found one that's kind of fruity flavored, and it tastes good on a salad with berries and spinach and green leaf lettuce. It was yummy. So yeah, I feel like I kind of have gotten used to having my salad and a big salad, not like a little tiny one. Eat a big salad. It's, you know, lots of veggies. You feel real good.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so important to have a salad every day when you're eating any diet, because this is really the only way to get all of your micronutrition. And it is so packed full of phytonutrients and antioxidants and all of the things that our bodies need to regain health and find that equilibrium, whether it's with our weight, our mental clarity, or our stress resilience. Anything and everything that you can think of likely has to do with how we are nourishing our bodies. So some of the things that Cheryl tried were simple repetition. I told her, bake it till you make it, because sometimes that's all we need when coming off of those standard American diet style foods is a lot of repetition. Sooner or later, your taste buds are going to adapt, and these are the foods you're going to prefer. You just have to get over that little hump. But another interesting thing that Cheryl tried that I wasn't aware that she wasn't doing, because for whatever reason, I just think it is so commonplace for people to chop their salad super finely so they get a little bit of everything in each bite. It makes the salad taste so different when you're not getting a huge chunk of romaine or a huge chunk of spinach and like a little itty bitty onion or something. So it's a real game changer. I'm sure Cheryl can attest to that. Now she actually eats her salads.
Yes, but cutting it smaller, I forgot all about that. Yes, that it was a big deal. It does taste better if it's smaller. I think that's also a good thing for people to know, is just that some people go cold turkey and are really good at keeping that snowball going. But I also think that it really helped me a lot when you described the sugar as an addiction, and that you will have relapses in an addiction. It happens. And that you're not bad and you're not weak, but you just have to get back up and keep trying. Yeah, and I think that realizing that sometimes in your life there are going to be things that are harder to deal with than others, but that you still need, you know, there's never an easy time to get over something. Like, there's never a perfect time, whether things are going smooth or whether they're not. You have to just hold yourself accountable and keep trying. Even if you make a mistake, you just get back on the horse and try the next minute. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it today.
Cheryl actually has gone several weeks without any candy during this program, on and off. But she decided to embark on this journey during Halloween. So Halloween of all holidays, I believe that's the #1 holiday in the US where most of the candy is bought. Like, I think second is like Christmas and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's a pretty remarkable feat, I would say. And what did you do this year with your children?
We went trick-or-treating. They went trick-or-treating, but and had their normal thing. But all 4 of my children have nut allergies, so they always come home with a big bag of Reese's and Snickers and things that they can't eat. And in the past, my husband and I felt very, very noble eating our children's peanut candy and saving them from an allergic reaction. but this year, I just bagged it all up and took it to work because it's like we use it as motivators for our students. So I just didn't want it in the house, didn't want that temptation. So I just took it to work.
Do you see yourself maintaining this lifestyle long term now that we are completely finished working together? Some people totally get anxious at this moment in time and feel like they're going to fall off the wagon without somebody to feel accountable to every week. Do you see yourself moving forward and maintaining these healthy decisions?
So to be honest, we've been out of the program for a week now, and I have to say that I did indulge in some foods that I wouldn't have normally eaten, and I noticed the brain fog and the energy levels not where I wanted them to be. It was amazing to see the noticeable difference so quickly. And the plant-based is the absolute ideal. I feel like this is going to be a long journey. It's not going to be something, in my personal case, where it's not like all of a sudden this is who I am, this is what I'm going to eat, and I'm never going to change. Because I want this to be something that I enjoy and once again incorporate to where I don't have to think about it anymore. One of my goals during the program was to come up with 5 weeks of meal plans so that when I do my grocery shopping, I'm not having to think so hard about what I'm going to make my family. I wanted to know what things to keep in my pantry so I can just make something if I needed to. And so this week has been pretty exciting because this is my first week going back where I haven't had to make a meal plan. I'm back to week 1. And so I just pulled up my meal plan and I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm going to make this. And so my plan is to continue to build upon this, maybe switch out a recipe for one that was okay for one that's really good. I'm still going to have to learn to make things, like other things that I like better. But yeah, this is definitely my ideal. And I was going to say that I have been learning, like every week I learn something new. Last week I made my own hummus for the first time. This week was the first week I ever made a veggie sandwich. So, anytime you can add a little tool to your toolkit, it makes it that much easier and that much more maintainable. And so I know that other people might progress quicker than I have. I'm really proud of the changes that I have made and feel that it's maintainable for me to keep learning new things and just make things better to where it gets easier.
Oh, absolutely, Cheryl. And it doesn't matter how long this process takes. What's important is that you're working in the right direction. And I find that completely admirable. What you're doing is not easy. You have 4 children. Thankfully, your husband's on board. But most people have 4 children and a husband who are all fighting against them. So at least you've got that working for you. That's the silver lining, right? What advice would you give to someone considering this transition to a whole food plant-based lifestyle?
I think really knowing the why helps a lot. Read books, watch documentaries, get it so that your heart and your mind are in the right spot so that when you're doing something hard, you know exactly why and how important it is. I think that can help. I think that, in religion they teach you, you go to church once a week, but you read your scriptures every day. I think that the nutrition could be like that too. That, you might have your meeting with your coach once a week or your weekly meal plan, but you need to daily think about why you want to eat healthy. So listen to a podcast, something like that to just kind of keep you focused. And then I think the other thing is to really focus on progress. Cold turkey is certainly ideal if you can just go for it and never look back. But if that's not you and you mess up, it's okay. Just keep going, make a small goal and learn to incorporate a new dish or make a meal plan or, there's so many healthy things you can do. Try a new vegetable. All those things add up to big changes. And I had talked to Karli a little bit about this, but those little changes you make every day make big changes in the long run. And so it's okay if you make a mistake and you go from, you can't go from being a big carnivore to a veggie eater in 1 week. If it takes some time, that's okay. Those little changes help you become the person you want to be.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Perfection is not ideal when it comes to this process. It's all about progress. So I'm glad you touched on that. And if any of you are in need of somebody helping you along this transition, feel free to click the link in the description box below to schedule a free 45-minute consultation with me. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for helping my viewers get through, I'm sure, some of their very unique and challenging situations, and we will catch up with you soon. So I hope you stay updated with us.
Thanks, Karli.